What did you say?
To make sure they understood why I do what I do. It's me believing that the worst will come. I knew that nothing had been done to do that.
So you're sat down writing your letter to your wife and your children, and what are you telling them?
That I know by doing what I do that that moment will come.
Danny Dyer's fury erupts as he exposes the shocking truth behind Tommy Robinson's imprisonment.
And I said to my wife, I'm getting moved, but nothing from the outcry outside, from Lord Pearson, who's a lord in this UK, making comments to make sure I'm safe. And I know that, and I've chose that.
What dark secrets is the government trying to hide by keeping Robinson in solitary confinement? In this explosive video, we uncover the real reasons behind Robinson's extreme isolation and why Keir Starmer's silence speaks volumes. Prepare for revelations that could shake the very foundations of British politics. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Danny Dyer, the straight-talking celebrity known for his no-nonsense attitude, has taken an unexpected turn in the spotlight. His recent comments about Tommy Robinson's imprisonment have sent shockwaves through the public sphere, raising eyebrows and igniting a firestorm of controversy. Dyer's reputation as a lovable Cockney geezer has suddenly morphed into that of an unlikely voice of reason.
And it was a detailing letter. Yeah.
It's alright. It's alright. This is a letter to your wife from prison, who will die in jail.
The worst will come, and I want my children to know that I haven't yet.
Challenging the status quo and demanding answers from those in power. The revelations Dyer has brought to light about Robinson's treatment in prison are nothing short of explosive. He's painted a grim picture of solitary confinement, questionable legal procedures, and what he sees as a blatant abuse of power. Dyer's criticisms of the prison conditions and government decisions have been scathing, to say the least. He's not pulling any punches, and his words are hitting hard where it hurts.
I knew that nothing had been done to do that.
So you're sat down writing your letter to your wife and your children, and what are you telling them?
That I know by doing what I do that that moment will come. And I said to my wife, I'm getting moved, but nothing from the outcry outside, from Lord Pearson, who's a lord in this UK, making comments to make sure I'm safe. And I know that, and I've chose that.
And you want your children to know that you didn't choose it over them.
So I detailed to my wife that it's not about them. It's not about our children.
But what's truly fascinating is the public's reaction to Dyer's statements. It's a mixed bag of surprise, support, and skepticism. Some are applauding Dyer for having the guts to speak out, seeing him as a champion of justice in a world gone mad. Others are raising an eyebrow, wondering if there's more to the story than meets the eye. After all, who would have thought Danny Dyer would be the one to blow the lid off this political powder keg? Social media has been set ablaze with discussions about Dyer's remarks. It's like watching a virtual tennis match, with opinions bouncing back and forth faster than you can say Keir Starmer. The divide in public opinion is stark, reflecting the broader societal tensions surrounding Robinson's case and the justice system as a whole. But here's where it gets really interesting. Dyer's comments aren't just causing a stir, they're becoming a catalyst for wider public discourse. People are starting to ask some serious questions about the treatment of prisoners, the ethics of solitary confinement, and the extent of governmental power. It's as if Dyer has inadvertently opened Pandora's box, and now everyone's scrambling to make sense of what's inside. The implications of Dyer's revelations are far-reaching. His words have become a rallying point for those who feel that Robinson's imprisonment is symptomatic of deeper issues within the justice system. It's no longer just about one man's case. It's about accountability, transparency, and the very foundations of our democracy. As the echoes of Danny Dyer's impassioned words fade, a deafening silence emerges from an unexpected source. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, has yet to utter a single word about Tommy Robinson's controversial imprisonment. This calculated silence is raising eyebrows and stoking the fires of public discontent. What could be so damning that Starmer won't even address it? The Prime Minister's refusal to engage with the growing controversy surrounding Robinson's case is becoming increasingly conspicuous. As public demand for answers mounts, Starmer's lips remain sealed, leaving many to wonder about the political machinations at play. Is this a deliberate strategy to suppress Robinson's voice and influence, or a grave miscalculation that could backfire spectacularly? The legal basis for Robinson's solitary confinement remains shrouded in mystery, fueling speculation and distrust. Critics argue that such extreme measures are typically reserved for the most dangerous criminals, not for someone like Robinson, who is viewed by his supporters as a political prisoner. Robinson himself has stated that this level of isolation is not standard for someone in his situation, emphasizing that it is a decision made by the government rather than the prison authorities. This revelation raises troubling questions about the motivation behind Robinson's treatment. Is Starmer's government using solitary confinement as a tool to silence a vocal critic? The lack of transparency surrounding the case only serves to feed these suspicions, eroding public trust in the justice system and the government's commitment to fair treatment of prisoners. As the controversy continues to simmer, the political pressure on Starmer is reaching a boiling point. His silence, once perhaps viewed as a shrewd political move, is now being interpreted as a tacit admission of guilt, or at the very least, a sign of weakness. The Prime Minister's refusal to address the growing public discontent is creating a vacuum that is rapidly being filled with speculation and anger. The potential consequences of Starmer's continued silence are becoming increasingly apparent. Public sentiment is shifting against him as more people become aware of Robinson's treatment, with growing calls for accountability and justice. This suggests that Starmer's strategy could have significant political repercussions, as the situation is rapidly developing into a political powder keg. The longer Starmer remains silent, the more fuel he adds to the fire of public outrage. Each passing day without a statement or explanation from the Prime Minister serves to strengthen the narrative that Robinson is being unjustly persecuted. This perception, whether accurate or not, is gaining traction and could potentially spark widespread protests or even civil unrest. The storm brewing around Tommy Robinson's imprisonment has the potential to reshape the political landscape in ways that could blindside Keir Starmer and his government. As public outrage continues to swell, the trust deficit between citizens and their elected officials widens into a chasm. Many see Robinson's case as a defining moment for Starmer's legacy, one that could make or break his political future. The coming weeks are likely to be a crucible for the government. With each passing day of silence, the pressure mounts for a direct and transparent address of the concerns surrounding Robinson's treatment. The public's appetite for accountability is growing, and it's becoming increasingly clear that this issue won't simply fade away. What started as a controversy over one man's imprisonment has ballooned into a referendum on the very foundations of justice and governmental transparency in the UK. The question now is whether Starmer and his team will rise to meet this challenge head-on or continue to sidestep it at their peril.